Hedera Hashgraph's HBAR token has taken a bit of a tumble over the last couple of days after a pretty significant run to the upside. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down what's going on with the price action of HBAR, sharing my thoughts and opinions as to where I think the price action is heading. As I get into today's video, do smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's take a look at what's going on with HBAR. So here we have Hedera Hashgraph, HBAR token paired up with USDT. This is just the 1 hour time frame. I just wanted to start here very briefly. I know this is going to be recorded way ahead of time, but you can see here that we do have a 3-wave correction. I wanted to just draw this in so everyone can kind of see the dangers of what's going on. Right, we have come down deeper than 1.236, but we haven't yet hit that 1.618 level. The 1.618 level is going to be a big issue for HBAR. So we want to be very mindful over 4.85 cents. If we come down lower than 4.85 cents, then this structure is no longer corrective. It is going to be impulsive. Okay, now that means that we would have to see something to this effect occur to the downside. Now, the good news is that anything higher than our current swing low, which I'm just going to check is right there at 5 cents flat, anything higher than 5 cents is going to break that structure and is going to prevent it from coming down. I wanted you just to start here before I roll up into the daily time frame, just to give everyone a bit of an understanding and keep in mind some of these key levels. 4.85 cents is going to be a very bearish time for HBAR, and anything above 5 cents is going to break that bearishness and it's going to give the bulls the upper hand. At the moment, we obviously lower than the 200 hourly EMA as well, so we'll be very mindful over that. Now, if I roll this back up into the daily time frame, let's talk about what's going on here, because on the daily time frame, you don't have a lot of that noise that's going on. But there is this really interesting range back in August of 2024. We came down into this low pocket right here, okay, coming in at the 4.53 to 5.21 cents. And well, it hasn't held. Okay, so there was this huge wick on August the 5th. This was an immense amount of buying pressure that basically kept the price out. And you can see that every time it came back down here, so whether that was on the 7th of August, the 8th of August, coming back in on the 13th, or 15th, even the 16th and 17th, right? Every time we came in here, we bounced from it, indicating that the buy pressure was there. However, we found resistance right up here on the 50 EMA, 50 SMA on August 24th, right? This isn't HBAR specific, of course, and the market generally all kind of saw reversals in and around this point. The significance of this, though, is a historical test of this 50 EMA and 50 SMA, okay? When we lost these all the way back in June of 2024, every retest has seen negative price action. And well, we are likely to see another retest, and that retest could be another bearish move, sending Hedera Hashgraph down even lower than it was back in December of 2022. So it's possible that we start seeing some new bear market low points for Hedera Hashgraph's token HBAR. And yeah, it's not necessarily what I want to be saying, but it does show some potential for some pretty decent accumulation if we want to. Okay, so where can things be heading? Well, if we take a little bit of a zoomed out approach here, we do have this rather frustrating structure emerging. Okay, it looks and appears to me like we have the potential for this to be a 5-wave structure. Now, Elliott wave theory requires much more liquidity to be super accurate. So we aren't in major danger zones. That would happen at 3.95 cents. But I do want to kind of just pull this over to the bounce that we see right over here. And I'm going to highlight the potential move that could be in play. Okay, and that means that we are already in the minimum expectations. That comes in at about 5.59 cents. But the worst case scenarios are going to be deeper, coming in down here at 3.33 cents. Okay, so it's quite a broad area, as you can kind of see right inside there. Now, I wanted to start there, so let's go ahead and now remove that fib off the chart, and we're going to talk about the bounce that's going on here, because that also shows a rather bearish place to be for Hedera's Hashgraph as well. And of course, we're going to take this with a pinch of salt, because HBAR is not as liquid as you would like it to be when it comes to Elliott wave theory. Now, this scenario shows you this little pocket right inside here, coming in at 3.56 on the high side and 3.12 on the low side. Okay, so basically a double bottom with 2022, it would appear, on that kind of structure. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so what we're really talking about here is the idea that we have a W, X, Y, X, and Z pattern. Okay, now we don't overly like that so much, but that's basically how it would look. So it's possible the Z wave finished, but looking at the structures, I don't think that's the case. So I suspect that we're still inside the Z wave and we still have further moves to the downside. We're not a 5-wave trend because we haven't hit any of those trigger points. They would happen much lower and we'd have to reanalyze all the nesting positions, but I still don't think you'd have the structure to concern yourself with there. But for the most part, unfortunately, I don't think we're done with the corrections for HBAR just yet. This doesn't change overly too much the bullish outcomes that we have here for Hedera hash graph, with the idea of, the potential move towards $2. But of course, if we do lose that existing low at the 3.56 cents, then that does change the target ranges. And it does mean that anyone kind of buying up at the 17-cent range is going to be in significant losses, and they're not going to see as many percentage gains in the longer term if they were to continue holding, of course. So just be very mindful over the structures that we see with Hedera. But for the most part, I don't think we're done with the worst, and the targets to the upside are very, very lucrative. At the moment, based on the existing low at 3.56, we would be looking for $2.16 to $5.83, but obviously we'd have to see a lot more bullish momentum kind of come into play for that. This is basically just in the assumption that we mirror what happened back in 2020 and 2021, which was about 15,000% in gains. Do I think we're going to do that? Probably not. So where would I conservatively be looking? I would be looking at some of the key fib levels on that journey to be a little bit more kind of safe with the investment choices. If I go ahead and bring this over to here, I would be looking at around kind of 42.5 up to the 83.76. These are going to be really interesting ranges. If I go ahead and pull that in, you can see that's basically just retesting the previous all-time high. If you can get a closed position above 83.76, then we can talk about that potential move a little bit higher, where we can talk about, maybe pushing into the $2 range. But for now, I would be really kind of concerned with this pocket of resistance right inside here. And you can also see that the resistance that we found previously as well was also quite aggressive. And so I'm going to go ahead and mark that in as well. And it does coincide with previous support over this side. Okay, so there's a few areas to be contending with, 12.48 to 18.17. That's a huge area of previous support that has turned into resistance. And if we can get a reversal soon and we do get a breakout, which I don't think we're going to do, but if we did, then we can see a breakout situation heading up to this previous area of resistance as well at that 42.5 to the 83-cent range. So for Hedera Hashgraph, there's a lot to play for here. There's a lot of percentage gains on the table, but I don't think now's necessarily the time to be kind of going long on the market. I would say that now is probably the time to be thinking about dollar cost averaging as this price collapses, because I think you're going to be in the best position to basically get as many of those gains and grab as much of that liquidity out of the market months down the line. If you're able to dollar cost average at the cheaper prices, that's ultimately the aim of the game, right? So for Hedera Hashgraph, yeah, some interesting stuff going on in the price action. Definitely some interesting accumulation zones, but I suspect that things are going to get worse before they get better, and that is a huge opportunity. You guys can let me know in the comments down below. Are you looking to buy dollar cost average in? Are you already in? Are you holding for the long term? Let me know in the comments down below, or join us in our free Discord server linked in the description. And if you haven't done so already, guys, check this video out right here. It's not one you're going to want to miss.